It's the lovely combination that when you get these two working together, is the fact that you're forcing damage in there, but you're also buffing your side of the field as well. So it's just, what can your opponent do about that? Apart from watch. Watch in disgust. Hello everyone, Gomez here for the LAN Up channel again. Another deck for you today. This one is a Teemo deck running with Freljord. Let's get into this. So today's deck is called Spoiled Puffcaps, and admittedly, you're going to be looking at this thinking like a Gomez, but this is like a standard deck. I mean, to be fair, this is actually a like using some of the new cards with like a really old strategy. So basically, obviously, the newest strategy is to use Teemo with Ezreal, but the very old strategy was to use with Sejuani. And the idea here is that, like, I know that some of the Teemo Ezreal decks throw in one Sejuani as a thing, but this was actually just full on 3 Sejuanis with this. We've actually left Ezreal out this. I'm gonna say you could technically put Ezreal into this list. There's nothing wrong with it, and it probably would fit quite well, but I wanted to go back to the old one because the loveliness of having Sejuani and throwing her out, and those Puffcaps continuously hitting. If she's on the board, boom, that's frostbiting everyone. Bear in mind that we're working like in certain metas where sometimes like people are trying to make a really big boy and then atrocity them into your face, or just like the overwhelm damage. So this kind of just shuts down those kind of strategies, and we've got a multitude of different ways which are going to be helping us, and some of the new cards really help us out. I'm not saying that this is the most ideal and definitely like the best way of running this deck, but it's definitely going to be like a really exciting way in my opinion. So obviously we've got Teemo. One of the newer cards which is really good to use here is Three Sisters. Number one, it counts as 2 spells, which if you've got either a Starlight Seer or a Puffcap Peddler is devastating. In fact, it's so devastating that I am actually going to make a quick little change while I'm here. I'm actually going to remove one of my mystics to be able to put another one of those in. Like, I just feel like I want that. I want to have, because what you need to remember is that, so from that, it's a very situational card, and by situational card I mean that you could use this, and as long as you've got the mana, because bear in mind it does make a fleeting copy of whatever it's got, you can frostbite something. So if something's going to do a lot of damage and whatnot, immediately boom, frostbite. You can use Fury of the North for increased stats, so if you want to get a better trade. But not only that, you could just throw it on Teemo and just go really aggressive into your opponent's core, and so that's what's really good there. Or there is Entomb as well, which does mean that you can remove something from your opponent's side of the board for a long time. But those first 2 are probably going to be the quickest reasons that you'll use it, so that you can be more mana efficient. As I said, if you've got a Puffcap Peddler on the board, this is going to be counting as 2 spells, which does make that devastating. Ballistic Bot standard, forcing that damage in. It's going to be helping the Sejuani, as well as the fact that if you've got a Puffcap Peddler, that's just more Puffcaps every single time. We've got improvements so that we can make more copies of Puffcaps, or more copies of Ballistic Bots, or in the very rare occasions when you've got nothing going for you, but your opponent's got something really good, copying something on your opponent's side of the board can also be acceptable. We've got a couple of Mystic Shots, just so that if worst comes to the worst, we might just have to do that damage into the core ourselves, or just a straight up plain removal can be done. We've got some shared spells in here so that we can get some draw going. But the other really new card, which is really good, they added, was Spoils of War. And what this does is this grants additional stats. And if you plunder, which obviously if you've done damage, it's going to increase those stats even more. And the ability to put cards such as that on top of Teemo, so you're forcing in that elusive damage, and you're just like forcing that damage up is stupid, especially when you can combine it with other, as I said, like cards like Fury of the North, which means you're just increasing that damage a lot. You could even technically run a copy or 2 of Battle Fury in this deck, just to make a really aggressive Teemo deck, but I decided against that at the moment. But there is options where you could just add that in. So we've got Starlight Seer, which is working off all the spells, Troll Chant to help you with trades. Obviously we've got Foundry, which is once you start getting those Puffcaps in, you're going to be forced to draw them. A couple more Puffcaps, a little bit of removal plus or like a damage that you could just go directly into core as well as draw, and then Sejuani. And I love a list that runs like this, but as I said, you definitely could put Ezreal into this list. You could even like cut out the Sejuani and like just full on Ezreal, or yet again go 2 Ezreals and 1 Sejuani. But I like the idea of having that Sejuani thing where it's shutting down the field of play from your opponents, as slowly but surely Starlight Series is making things bigger in your deck. Puffcap Peddlers are putting mushrooms into your opponent's deck. Obviously, Lissandra becomes like a big counterplay to this, because obviously she negates all mushroom damage, but the elusive damage coming off of Teemo, especially if you can use Spoils of War, or get like a assistance so that you're increasing the damage through Fury of the North. Bearing in mind that Sejuani's spell becomes Fury of the North is really good. Now, as I said, this is not going to be the definitive list. There is definitely different ways of changing this up. So you could change this up to add in more frostbiting spells. So you could just add straight in Flash Freeze, or you could even throw in the 6-cost Harsh Winds just to be trying to slow down your opponent that way. I've decided not to, because I've gone more down the full-on Sejuani, who will be frostbiting like everyone who's in the field of play. So, but there is definitely ways of including those in the decks and changing things around. But this is the deck that I've gone with. I feel like it's going to be a good deck. I've not actually tried it out yet, so we will be trying this deck out. But before that, bear in mind, shameless plug time. Twitch, Twitter, and Instagram. If you didn't know already, I do stream on Twitch on Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. So you want to come catch the action live, please feel free to, as well as there is the Discord link down below if you want to get in there. There's a lot of people talking deck creation, talking working together to make good things happen. So if you want to get in there, talking with other people who love this game and build the lovely community that we are starting to foster, then why not consider it? As well as the fact there is a monthly games night and movie night in that Discord. So if you want to get involved, get on mic, have a good time as we watch a terrible film or play games together, please feel free to. I said the next game night is going to be on the 25th, which is the day before my birthday. But do not feel forced, these are just the options. I just want to say thank you to everyone who supports the channel. I do have an end of year goal of hitting 5,000 followers/subscribers on YouTube and Twitch, and it just looks like we're going to be smashing the YouTube one. So honestly, thank you all so much. Because we're nearly getting to the point of like 3,000, which is insane to me, in all honesty. So thank you to everyone. I just hope that you enjoy and smile and laugh all the way through. That's the whole idea of what I intend to do. So honestly, thank you so much, and I hope that you enjoy. See how this deck does in a couple of matchups. Fiora Shen. Okay. I'm not gonna lie, it's gonna be difficult because they're gonna have the ability to potentially trade off Teemo. Ooh. I mean, I definitely want to be keeping you. Part of me honestly wants to be keeping you as well. I'm actually gonna go with keeping these two, because I'm hoping I can find a Teemo. Because I can find Teemo immediately. Okay, don't find him immediately, but this is at least going to give me the option to potentially Flash Freeze or go above Fiora with Fury of the North. So it's not the best right now. This is not exactly how I'd want things, but okay, we can throw you out. And we could Innovative Improvement you. So okay, so gonna go with you. Admittedly, right now, Innovative Improvement is the only thing that I've got that really saves your, it doesn't save your life, but it allows you to make another copy. So potentially they could play a Shen right now. Yep, of course. They always have him. So we could go with you into Flash Freeze, which does mean that we'd still have 2 mana left, which means that we can still play the Seer as well. So willing to accept this.
So I go.
Willing to accept. Because bear in mind, the more shrooms we get in, the more chance for Spoils of War we end up allowing ourselves to have. So gonna go like that into the Flash Freeze. I've always been a fun guy. So forcing buffs and forcing shrooms. We want to be trying to make more copies of these Puffcap Peddlers. So yeah, again, obviously concerted strike and single combat are things important to bear that in mind, but we're gonna go playing this, so we're forcing more shroom damage in. We haven't got any more spells that we can use right now, but it's okay. We don't mind that fact. So we've already got 9 shrooms in the deck. If we can, so expect single combat, which obviously. Oh, then why do that? You could have waited and you could have. I mean, you know what? I'm not going to question your decisions. I'm not going to question the decisions. But slowly but surely, the closer that we get to Spoils of War, going to. Or do we actually even consider that? Because obviously, we could use this. Part of me's thinking we could increase you up to 5, or increase you and then decrease you, but then that's still not really helping me. still not 100% helping me because that gets that down to 3. Does mean that I could use Spoils of War, which does just help get you past that point. I feel like I'm willing to do this. Obviously, there's certain other barrier spells they could do, but we've still got 21 shrooms in their deck and we've already leveled up Teemo, so I'm willing to accept that. Because I said, there are certain moves they could definitely have that would cause significant problems. So yeah, Concerted Strike, that's fine. It's not fine, but I accept it. So, forcing that, we do have a shared spoils. We could even throw out Sejuani. I mean, look at how buff that Teemo is already. We've not actually seen like any damage going in at the moment. Like, part of me's considering throwing you down just to try and remove, because Shen's about to level. Part of me is, honest to God, considering throwing this out. It's not ideal, but I'm thinking to myself, well, he's about to level, so let's at least try and cut him down. And if we can force out like spells out of them right now. Okay, so there's a Sivir. They could still have single combat. But I'm willing to go with the gamble. Willing to go with the gamble for a 5/5 Teemo right now. Because they could have single combat, which obviously would remove him from the field of play. Yep. Ooh, I was, honest to God, expecting them to go with the killing Teemo, but okay. It does make sense. Because obviously that is still a really good trade for them. So, I could kill Shen, and potentially I should kill Shen. But I'm also thinking that I could double the shrooms. I feel like I kill him because he's about to level. Like, I feel that that's important. I feel it is important that he dies. It might end up being the misplay of this deck, because obviously, like, you know, we technically need to be trying to force in that shroom down, especially considering the fact that we've not even, like, hit 1. It is, honest to God, the consideration that we should be thinking about, but willing to do this. So, we could, yet again, use this to help either... I mean, I feel like we need to use it to help Teemo right now. Just do this just to kill him, but we can use Spoils of War just to help Teemo pass this. I would have preferred increased stats even more so. Would have preferred increased stats even more so, but I will take what I can get. As that is the second counter onto Fiora, so we do need to start being careful. Teemo's like somewhat okay. We could even throw out the Sejuani to try. So, riposte! Okay, so we're gonna be losing Teemo. Gonna be losing that Teemo, but we're gonna hope that the shroom damage is gonna be enough, and we need to kind of like try to remove this Fiora from the field of play. But they're gonna have like multiple ways of trying to stop me from doing this. But I feel like we do need to at least try. There's Teemo again! And now we're forcing that in. I feel like we need to be trying to kill her. Need to try to kill her, and then we can force the Teemo damage in as well. To just like, no, don't leave like this. This was about to get interesting for me because Teemo's about to come on the board, and we also had Shen's balls. So oh my God, oh so close. How dare you leave me like this, Fiora Shen? Deep. Okay, we're starting to see more and more. I'm glad to see that the deep archetype is coming back, because there was a long time there where we literally just didn't see it. I'm very glad to see that it is coming back. I'm willing actually to keep this hand because we can Teemo. Potentially, like, bearing in mind that deck does run things like Vile Feast and definitely Withering Wail. So, willing just to immediately go forward. Might end up regretting this, but I'm willing to immediately go forward here. So, Vile Feast? Yep. Okay, so. Gotta do that. Saves your life. I would have loved to have played the Seer, but obviously you got to keep the team alive, keep the dream alive, helping towards Sejuani. Admittedly, they're going to be tossing a lot of their cards, which will be problematic. The riches, and so it begins. At least we can level Teemo. Like, immediately we can throw both of these down and level Teemo. So we can start. It can begin. It can begin with us. Like, so we know that they're going to be getting closer and closer to those treasures, but we can start this happening right now in terms of like doubling those shrooms, causing them significant anguish and punishment. But obviously they're going to be tossing a lot of those cards away. So hope is what we have. Tossing those cards away. We just need to hope they don't find those treasures, because the quicker that they find those treasures, that's when it becomes problematic. The second we start seeing treasures and treasure trove comes out, and then just the stupidity that treasure trove can provide. So we've got shared spoils. We can throw this guy out and force even more shrooms into the deck. It's absolutely fine. We are in okay spaces. They slowly but surely get closer and closer to those treasures. Just need to hope. Don't find them. So, boom, boom. Lots of damage going into them right now. Throw this out. We'll go with the shared spoils first because it's a guaranteed buff, as well as the fact that look at how big boy he could have been. Oh no! No, you can't leave now! Things are just going well! Oh, I love when a plan comes together. Shrooms! Okay, so we're against old Leblanc and Sivir. Okay, let's see how we can do against this, because it's actually like become a really good deck. I'm not gonna lie. Do I keep? I'm gonna get rid of this guy. I hope that we can find Teemo early, because if we can find Teemo early, at least that means that we're starting to get those shrooms in, and with things such as these two, it does start to kick off. So immediately throw out the Seer, and the ability now to actually make a copy of the Puffcap Peddler. That's what we need. Immediately, if I throw Puffcap Peddler out next turn, I'm not really leaving myself a lot of mana. Like, I'm not potentially maybe playing the Seer. I should have left it and gone into next turn with full mana. Thinking to myself that I could just troll chant this little rock hopper. Or if they throw down LeBlanc.
Victory requires a sharp blade.
I feel like the best move here is just static. Like, I was thinking to myself, do I Sisters into Freeze? But sometimes you just don't need to do that move. Why overcomplicate? If only you could have been buffed. You could have been a 2-fee regime with your old Teemo. So, willing to accept this guy being it rather than Teemo. And plus, I do have the ability of making this guy. I do have the ability of making this guy better, which is bigger. So, I should have potentially, like, gone into next turn with full mana. Should have potentially gone into next turn with full mana, and that probably would have been the better strategy. But I'm thinking to myself, so we could either Sisters, or we could Innovative Improvement, or we could Troll Chant. Loads of different options depending on what I want to do here. So,
just name your price.
Obviously, we're going to need to. So we're going to need to Innovative Improvement. So potential bloody business, as well, is very important to remember as counter moves. But we need to at least go with increase damage, because we can't. There's no point in increasing yours because it's not going to do anything. We increase and decrease your attacks, helping them. Meaning that it's harder for them to get to reputation, and potentially this could be a trap. Potentially, I said bloody business could come across here, or even like a Draven. Yeah, I was gonna say a Draven Spoilage Whirling Death, but it was worth trying. It was worth trying, and at least it stopped. Tried to stop the LeBlanc move. Now we can throw you out. Sejuani. That's a big old Sejuani. So potentially throwing this out to try to remove Sivir. I could have thrown out the Peddlers and actually gone with a much more spell friendly version of doing this. Okay, so they decided killing Teemo was a wise strategy, which to be fair it was. I didn't have any way of protecting him in my hand right now, so it was a very wise decision. I'm gonna go for trying to kill Sivir. It's getting us closer towards the Sejuani. Admittedly, she is years away. We do have Sisters, which will help us to yet again just make things.
Seen tombs, towns, and everything.
So you go first, which then means that you're gonna be leveling. Throw out the Peddler.
Little fella asking for me.
Throw out the Peddler, and that means that we can Sister. Not the best, but we can throw you in front of here, and then we can Sister into a Flash Freeze, meaning that we can save your life! Mr. Peddler! Don't you worry, Mr. Peddler! I will save you! Admittedly, like, you know, we could have improved, like, obviously there could be a bloody business or another Draven strike, but I felt like it was worthwhile saving his life. We don't kill the LeBlanc because she's going to go off in health, but he still lived, and potentially we can kill her next turn with that, so it's perfectly fine. We could either do improvement as well. I was really hoping that we were going to hit them. They got 16 of them in the deck. I'm also considering just like playing this guy, but I want to get multiple peddlers. Multiple peddlers just becomes such an annoyance and nuisance, and we do have this is another really good point. Considering potentially removing the spell shield off of you. Instead, I'm just going to go directly to core. Directly to core, making sure that I am helping level Sejuani. Because right now, if we can keep ball dominant, bear in mind, Bloody Business is definitely a card that they running that deck, potentially. Definitely Whirling Death as well. But, so they're going with draw! Going with draw right now, which is just like, forcing the damage. Forcing the damage. We could actually just go in here. We could just go in. Because it is forcing a lot of damage in. Bearing in mind they've already got 22 going for them. And the over... I mean, that's just Shenamote to my opponent. Honestly, very well played. But luckily enough, we were just wide enough on the board. We had more mushroom stuff that we could have thrown at them. We had everything. So it was all going for us. We had to go forward. It made sense. Again. A lot of people running this deck. Which, to be fair, it's a really powerful deck. And especially when it gets going, it can be a very powerful deck. So, yeah, gonna send all of that back. Yeah, again, I mean, obviously, Mystic Shot does mean that we can take out LeBlanc, so that's not too bad. And Ballistic Bot kind of means that we can slowly but surely chuck the pip away and work towards that Sejuani, but I would have preferred to start off with a Teemo in hand, I'm not gonna lie. I would prefer to see my little Teemo, man. Puffcap Peddler's not too bad. I pass, because I can't do anything, so I pass. Throw out Ballistic Bot.
Flesh was weak,
but look at me now! So, throw Ballistic Bot out, and then potentially next turn, Peddler into Ignition. Obviously, my opponent could play LeBlanc, but then I said we've got these Mystic Shots, so we're not 100% worried about it. Willing to at least do 1 point of damage into my opponent, I guess? Just to force that little tiny point of damage in. So, it depends obviously what my opponent plays. Depends on what my opponent plays here. Gonna go with so, it's one of those things, right, where you know for a fact, potentially the Mystic Shot version is the better one, because I'd prefer to leave this until there's a Puffcap Peddler who's just like taking advantage of the multiple use of spells. So, we need to wait. Even if they pass the turn, that's just me banking full spell mana, so I will accept.
Surprised to see me.
Not really. Here, take this. Surprised to see me? No, but you might be surprised about this one. So, I'm actually, as much as he wants to bank mana, I also want to be working towards this Sejuani. So each turn, I kind of want to be trying to force that damage in. So next turn, throw out Peddler. We're going to start this going. We could actually just throw out all the Ballistic Bots and then just Ignition it like that. So we could just force them down for Ignition play. That is also an option. Here we go, and so it begins. So we could go forward right now, because it would be, I'm just trying to think, like, I don't think that they've got anything which gets you up an additional health stat, but I'm willing just to keep what I've got. And I could have gone forward because it would have been like basically trying to force them to trade Sivir off. We could actually troll chant into freeze. Like, that's a lot of spells. That is a lot of spells, and we could technically do it. Just to force in more shrooms into our opponent. If they pass the turn, we just pass right back, because I'd rather be on the effect. Like, I'd rather like not let them have an attack than like spend my mana. Sounds stupid, but to me it makes sense. Because right now we can stay on the backfield. We can wait.
Well,
okay. So yet again, there is the option. There is the option for Mystic. The Mystic probably makes the most sense. Just to remove her from the field of play. yeah, there's no point in going with any. I just go with the Mystic, like, to get rid of her, and then from that, potentially they could have that one cost which buffs by 1. Like, that is an option, and then we'll just go for a troll chant if that was the case. But I'm willing to take 5 damage, knowing that I can throw out another ballistic bot, and then throw out this ignition, and we are slowly but surely forcing that damage in, forcing the Sejuani, like, because we need to bear in mind as well that they're getting close to moves such as Bloody Business and things along those lines that could cause, like, significant damage over my side of the field. It depends on what they're playing, whether or not they've actually got Weight of Judgment or what's his face, Spirit Fire in that deck. Like, there's different options such as those they could be running. But at this moment in time, the fact that we could just go into an Ignition Shared Spoils, like, we've got the, even throwing out a Seer right now, so that every single spell that we're using is throwing shrooms into their deck and buffing our deck. So it's the lovely combination that when you get these two working together, it's just the fact that you're forcing damage in there, but you're also buffing your side of the field as well. So it's just, what can your opponent do about that? Apart from watch in disgust. So Sejuani's already leveled. So the second that we top deck Sejuani, like, it is fine. Like, the second that we get that, that's like, boom, that is significant. I feel like I throw Ignition.
Sand and trouble.
So gonna throw Ignition into Shared Spoils. That's gonna be what we're gonna go with here. So Ignition into Shared Spoils, because then that's gonna be buffing the top 3 cards, as well as the fact that he's already gonna be buffing stuff. So slowly but surely they're getting so big. Could even Ignition again at this point, just because, yeah, again, it's doing damage to them, forcing 3 more shrooms. That would be the Teemo level up as well. And next turn we're going in with a couple of different options. Obviously, we could have actually forced an attack in on them, because it would just, like, force them to have to decide things. But actually, two sisters might not be the worst case scenario here. We need to remember is that Troll Chant, like, while they've got the spell shields up, is not going to do, like, too much. But if we were to throw somebody like this onto the board and then Troll Chant, then that would.
Seen tombs, towns, and everything in between.
Going big on me. Which, to be fair, like, you know, they need to, so it makes sense. Could even just consider just, like, leaving, like, getting rid of one of my bots.
Danger pays.
So this could be, actually, they're still years away from leveling Sivir. It's absolutely fine. Just consider removing those two. Actually think about removing maybe the Seer. Like, I could honestly go and consider it. Admittedly, right now I want this to be on the board, and I kind of want the Ballistic Bot, because the Ballistic Bot is forcing pressure. So keep myself at 11. I'm willing to make this as I'm willing to make these trades. I'm willing to make these trades right now, because we can force more shrooms in and then force even more shrooms in if we wanted to. I feel like I'm definitely going to go with the Ignitions and save the mana for next turn, because we could even throw another Ballistic Bot in and then he starts getting buffed by these things as well. So it's just like we don't even need our champions. Don't even need them, because we're just going to be slowly but surely forcing our opponent down, forcing those shrooms into their deck. Which is just meaning that they're going to have to do something about this. They're going to have to do something about it. If they had Bloody Business, they would have used it. So, all they're doing is drawing themselves. Ooh, I was going to say, they didn't actually hit a shroom in that first one. But all that their draw will be doing is just actually putting them more and more in danger. That's what's so devastating about mushrooms, right? Is that after a point, like any draw spells, you want to be drawing from your deck for reasons, but at the same time, your draw becomes your enemy, because it becomes like, you know, slowly but surely killing yourself. So Teemo potentially going onto this field of play. We firstly gonna play the game of seeing whether or not they play some cards themselves. Teemo enters the field of play, and we do actually have Troll Chant and abilities of freezing. We could even use this going into Fury of the North to make a really buff crazy man Teemo coming at them. We'll see how it goes.
Well,
there's Leblanc.
Foolish distraction, my dear.
Okay, we need to play you. We need to play Teemo. Like, every single time she's come to the field of play, it's just instantly Mystic Shot dead. We don't have the Mystic Shot this time, but we do have, like, other options, which yeah, will present themselves. So we could still see Bloody Business. Like, Bloody Business is still, like, a card that we definitely could see. I feel like I want to Troll Chant on top of her just to remove her spell shield, just to activate.
Sharpen the blade,
So,
secure the kill.
I feel like I just want to do this.
There they go.
Force Teemo to start like attacking forward. It still gives me the option for, because that's lethal. That's lethal anyway, but it still gives me the option for Frostbite if they came up with some way of trying to get around this. I don't know how much mana they had if they had the ability to use 2 bloody businesses, but that's GG. Shenamo, well played to my opponent, and honestly, just again, this deck can really deliver. Oh, I love somebody who's going with Yasuo drop. So that means a lot of stuns, which does actually mean that's really good counterplay to Teemo, because obviously Teemo needs to be attacking in. I'm actually going to keep this hand. I might end up regretting it, because I've got no spells of counter to be able to like save Teemo's life or anything along those lines, but willing to accept. Willing to accept that we're just going to go immediately forward with Teemo. Immediately forward with Teemo. So, starting to force those shrooms in. Throw the ballistic bot out. We could throw the stick widget to Seer out, but I want to throw the ballistic bot out.
I am superior life form.
Would love to throw a peddler out, but potentially Seer going into ignition makes a lot more sense. So we're hitting into their core again, thus helping the Sejuani play. Willing to accept. So Seer into ignition, and then next turn potentially getting a peddler on the board and starting that going on. They've already got a stun, so we kind of have to immediately go forward. Like, we have to immediately act. Immediately act on the Teemo front. So, because we need to basically be forcing out any of their stuns before Yasuo hits the field of play. So, hitting this in. So, if they're going to stun, they're going to stun, which does mean that they... Wait, oh wait, I wish that I had... Like, if only you cost 1 less... If only we had some, that's fine. That's fine. We'll accept that. We'll accept this. Mostly because we have to. Okay, so I want to throw Peddler going into ignition, so that yet again we are helping Sejuani, starting to get those shrooms in. The buffs are going in. The buffs are going in. We could even static shock that 5 damage off. Bearing in mind that there he is. There's the big boy. So the stuns now do start doing 2 damage. Stuns are going to start doing 2 damage. We could throw you out, but I feel like the better move here is throwing this out, just to get rid of that 5 damage from coming at me. Look. Oh, they don't do anything. I'm willing to accept that. I'm willing to accept them not doing anything. Allows me to put an additional peddler onto the field of play. Bearing in mind, this deck could run what's its face, the recall everything spell, the singular will. Like, that is an option. Okay, so you will be accepting damage, and we are willing to accept it. We're going to tell ourselves that we're willing to accept it. We're not really, but we've got another peddler on the field of play, and we can like start trying to force spells out. Start trying to force spells, which is like spells out, so that they are at least taking something. We could potentially, it's going to end up being this is going to activate for us. So, boom, you take that. I'm going to throw you in, because obviously expect to see Ravenous Flock or some way of like killing this guy, so that they're just stopping the spells from going in as much. Ooh. Oh, they're throwing it around in multiple places. But we are still, at least for the time being, getting a lot of shrooms in their deck. We could actually now start throwing the Foundry out as well. So, not using it to kill the Peddler, who I consider to be like the bigger problem on this field of play, but they're deciding not to do it yet. And that now means that we could use Shen's Balls. And that's the level up as well. And says, right, this deck is just working so well for me right now. So, gonna throw you out. Gonna throw you out. Potential stun just to remove this, but before that goes in, gonna force the draw, and going to also forcing significant shrooms. So, yep, we're gonna be losing you, and obviously they're gonna be like very aggressive on here, but that is still a lot of shrooms that's going on in my opponent's deck right now, and significant buffs coming off the Starlight Seer as well. Now, so Foundry is definitely dropping next turn. We might have to trade some things off this field of play right now just to like help secure life. There could be an additional stun in here, which obviously they would be stunning this, because right now you are the only so that's the thing. If they've not got any way to stop me from countering, boom, the damage is slowly but surely setting in. Potential Scorched Earth. We've got to go for it. Could have actually considered trying this. So there's the Leviathan. There's Swain, but gonna throw you out.
Still like a yodel in uniform.
Gonna throw you out as we will be taking.
That's a harvest right there.
We will be taking 3 damage, but with no Swain leveled up on the board right now, so nobody's getting stunned. At the moment, we're in an okay situation. I could technically throw these things forward, but I am going to stay from the position that I'm going to consider to be the superior position right now and just leave it. Because every single time they're drawing, they're slowly but surely. So that has now made it so that Spoils of War activates, giving us additional buffs. Now, admittedly, they could just pass the turn, meaning that the stuns are going to come in. And then, obviously, Yasuo is going to go crazy, which I said they could definitely do. The option is open to them. We can throw some more shrooms in their deck. We could actually just frostbite somebody as well if we really wanted to as well. So, I'm willing to throw 1 shroom in at the moment. We need to throw 1 shroom in because it does still mean that I've got the ability to freeze if I needed to. So keeping my option of freezing open. But obviously they're on 7. They're drawing more, and we are slowly but surely just forcing dashes. They go recall. Okay. So we can still play that peddler.
Here's our chance.
Can still play that peddler onto the field of play. He's not dead yet. So forcing him back out. Which does mean that we can just throw our mushroom spell out right now. Their plan here is they know that damage is coming for me. So willing to do this, willing to get rid of you, because that way you will still live.
Oh, that's a harvest right there.
So gonna throw you in there, forcing more shrooms in, knowing the fact that we're forcing draw. It's all we have. So boom, 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 coming in from this, which is stun. That is a big ass Teemo. Okay, so Teemo, not only do we have big ass Teemo, we also have the ability of using Spoils of War on him if we really wanted to. So not only is that big boy Teemo in terms of that, but this is a lot. This is a lot. I mean, and that Teemo, no, we wanted to see big boy Teemo, but well played to my part. I do appreciate anyone who tries to get what's Yasuo working, but this deck is just insane when it gets going. So that is the Spoiled Shrooms deck. It's a really good deck, Spoiled Puffcap deck. It's a really good deck. The second when it just starts forcing in like any Teemo deck is the same. Whenever you start forcing those damages in, it's just like their deck becomes their enemy. And as I said, you could definitely run Ezreal in this deck. I just prefer having a Sejuani play just for late game if needed. Like obviously all the games that we saw, it wasn't really needed, but having that Sejuani there just like was that extra form of comfort to me personally. But I do honestly love the Spoils of War, like the ability of buffing Teemo to be able to do more damage in early is just like devastating. And yeah, there's so many different things that work in this deck, but always mushroom decks like this have always worked out quite well. Obviously, we didn't get to see played against Lissandra, so we didn't really get to see how that would have played off, but I do actually think this is a really good deck, so please let me know what you think down in the comment section down below, as well as the fact that if you haven't already, why not consider going over to Twitch and hitting that follow button. I do stream on Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays and Thursdays, as well as the fact there's a Discord link down below if you want to join that, where there's a games night and a movie night monthly. The games night is going to be on the 25th, so if you want to get on mic and have a good time, like as we play games, why not consider it? But honestly, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you had a great time. I said I do have my end of year goal of hitting 5,000, so follow us, subscribers on YouTube and Twitch. So thank you to everyone who has supported me so far. We're really close to YouTube, so thank you so much, and just you are all the best, and you give me so much joy and pleasure that I want to be giving it back to you. So honestly, thank you all so much. I hope you have a great day, evening, night, or whatever it is for you. And until next time, bye.
Flash of brilliance that could save me. Save me! That doesn't save me. Okay. Is there anything from you? Save me. That doesn't save me! Okay. Get rid of this and get rid of this. Find something that can save me.